I told you!" Cal cried. But before I could reply, the duck I was holding slowly turned its head and stared right at me. I dropped it onto the table and stepped back, my eyes darting between it and Tiny, who was now racing past the teapot. I stared open-mouthed as the little wooden elephant skidded to a halt at the edge of the table, where she began stamping up and down, waving her trunk and shaking her head back and forth so her ears flapped wildly. And then the room exploded into life. 2 miniature wooden mice scampered out of the cereal packet and rocketed across the table, leaping one after the other over the sugar bowl. The squirrel returned to its acorn flinging, causing Cal and me to duck as they shot overhead. Then more books started flinging themselves off the bookshelf, and a series of satisfied snouts emerged, revealing yet more mice. Several of them started leaping from the bookshelf onto the table, scampering towards me, with expressions that ranged from surprised to worried to rather cross. The oversized bee I'd seen earlier dive-bombed my face and I lurched out of the way, but its gold-tipped wings still brushed my nose as it flew past, as if it was trying to get a better look at me. There was a clatter as the squirrel on the dresser knocked a teaspoon flying in its rush to leap down. And then the bushy-tailed fox trotted over, the little wooden owl perched between its ears. The thoughts in my head were running in circles like the excited elephant and tumbling over themselves just as often. "What's happening?" I cried. And just as suddenly, the mayhem stopped. "Why aren't they moving?" Cal asked, which made me stifle a giggle, as a few seconds ago it had been the exact opposite question bursting out of me. Every creature in the room was frozen, eyes fixed on us like they were waiting for us to do something. But what? Eventually, the fox took a step closer and prodded my foot with its nose. It turned its head to look at Tiny's mum, who was standing beside one of the wellies at the back door. She shuffled forward slowly and lifted her trunk a little, ears rippling. She was not as full of bounce as Tiny, but I could tell she was excited. I stepped back from another nudge by the fox just as a lone acorn arced over my head and dropped into one of the boots by the door. Both wellies, I saw now, were overflowing with acorns. I think I understood a split second before the next acorn ricocheted off my head, but then again, maybe the squirrel's last shot finally tapped the idea into my brain. Picturing the heap of acorns I'd found in my bed, I laughed. "I think they've been trying to tell us how to deal with the pig." Cal looked utterly confused. I pointed at the green welly. "I think Wellington loves acorns." A grin spread across his face as he understood, and the room erupted once more. It was pretty clear from the way the squirrels were racing up and down and the mice were leaping left, right and centre that I was right. The whole room's spirits had lifted with relief that we'd cottoned on at last. Tiny looked set to fall off the table in her eagerness to reach her mum, so Cal quickly lifted her down. She ran in circles round the bigger elephant, trunk held high in a triumphant trumpet. "It looks like they're just as keen for us to get out there as we are," I said. Then I noticed the leaves of the octopus tree pressed up against the window, each one waving cheerily at us. I remembered the branches pointing down the garden and the way it had barred the door earlier. I think maybe the tree's been trying to get us outside too. "The octopus tree," Cal said. He hurried over to the window and pushed it open, and a leafy branch shot in and brushed the top of his head, ruffling his hair. He laughed, delighted, and scooped up Tiny. "This is amazing. Weird, but amazing."